on why antibiotics should be used in food animals and why we are for it. Group number 6 consists of Matthew Bishop, Edwin Martinez, Yadira Esparza, and Kaylee Tate. I, Matthew Bishop, will be going over the history of antibiotics and the background information. Antibiotics are a form of medicine. However, this isn't a form of medicine that is strictly for us humans. It has, and it will probably forever, be used on animals. This medicine helps fight off all kinds of different bacterial infections. What is a bacterial infection? Well, a bacterial infection is, in most cases, when the bad type of bacteria releases toxins that can damage cells and make humans and animals very sick. These antibiotics can be taken in several different ways. The first way is orally, which is through the mouth, something that is ingested. This can be things like pills. The second way is topically, which is something put on the skin, eyes, ears, etc. This can be a cream or something like eye drops. The third and final way is injection. Injection can be anything from a needle and some sorts of IV. The first true antibiotic created was penicillin. The man who discovered penicillin was Alexander Fleming. Alexander Fleming is pictured on the right. Ever since then, we have constantly been improving upon and using them in all kinds of different areas of life. Now I will be talking about the history of antibiotics in food animals specifically. What is a food animal? Well, a food animal is an animal that is raised for the consumption or products. This can be anything from meat to eggs, milk, etc. Since we are the ones consuming the majority of these animals, they are held to a very high degree of government regulation and oversight. Since they are so heavily watched, when we use things like antibiotics on them, it is very important that it is safe and won't harm the animal, product, and especially us. Antibiotics are used for many reasons in food animals, such as treating diseases, preventing said diseases, promoting growth, which we will touch back on later, and increasing the overall performance of the animal. The first ever testing of antibiotics on food animals was approved by the FDA in 1951. The antibiotics allowed for rapid production of things like meat, which was very needed for the post-World War II world. This is going back to that promoting of growth that antibiotics allow. Basically, after World War II, there was a lot of lack of food, and so they needed a quicker way to produce things like meat. And so these antibiotics allowed and promoted the growth of these animals, giving them more meat. Now, while this also goes for us, if you overuse the antibiotics on the animals, it will lose its efficiency. This is called antibiotic resistance. I like to think if you took an allergy pill every day, 365 days a year, then you got allergies one day, and you tried to take an allergy pill to cure it, the allergy pill would most likely not work because you built up a tolerance to it or a resistance. Approximately 80% of all the antibiotics in the world go towards just livestock. That's a crazy number. There is no scientific data showing that an animal that was treated will harm you in any way, shape, or form.
Hello, my name is Edwin Martinez, and I'm going to be discussing the ethical aspects involved with antibiotics in food animals. I'm going to touch on the animal impacts they have, the food safety impacts, and also the global food equity. So for number 1, animal impact. One of the biggest concerns we have when using antibiotics in food animals is how they will end up affecting the animal's well-being. We all know that antibiotics can be used to help treat infections, reducing suffering among animals. This ensures the animals stay healthy, it could prevent further diseases, and overall improve their welfare, especially in large farming operations where it's crucial that the animals stay healthy and alive. So, number two, food safety. Food safety is another major concern we have because antibiotics in food animals can help actually improve the food safety by treating infections and preventing diseases like Salmonella or E. coli. This helps protect us from these illnesses and keeps our food safe for us. Number three, global food equity. Global food equity is about making sure everyone has access to food. Antibiotics in food animals can help produce more food, keeping animals healthy and preventing diseases. This allows for a steady and reliable food supply, especially as the demand for food grows worldwide. Healthy animals produce more meat, more milk, and more eggs, meeting the growing global food demands. Overall, antibiotics play a huge role in the health and welfare of food animals. They support safe food production and address global food equity challenges. They not only prevent and treat infections, but they also reduce the suffering in animals, particularly in large-scale farming operations, by ensuring safer food through the control of harmful bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli. I'm also going to talk about our position being for using antibiotics and why we support it. I'm going to touch on how the increased antibiotic sales show that we still need antibiotics and we're probably going to need more in the coming years. I'm going to talk about how antibiotics are actually heavily regulated by the FDA. And I'm also going to talk about how the research shows that they are generally safe to use for human consumption. Number one, increased antibiotic sales show ongoing need. In 2022, the FDA reported a 4% increase in antibiotic sales for food animals. What that tells us is that we still have a high demand for these drugs, and if we were able to just cut them off completely, it would negatively affect our global food chain supply, possibly causing a price shock. Number two, antibiotics are heavily regulated. We all know the FDA has a lot of regulations and rules for the use of antibiotics to make sure they are used responsibly and only when necessary. For example, the FDA has a rule called the FVD, Veterinary Feed Directives, which requires antibiotics only be prescribed by a licensed veterinarian only for specific health issues. Number three, research shows they are generally safe. There's a lot of research that's been done currently and in the past that shows antibiotics are generally safe when used properly. They help prevent and treat diseases like mastitis in dairy cows, helping control pathogens like E. coli. Overall, the use of antibiotics in food animals remains essential to maintaining a safe and reliable food supply, as shown by their ongoing demand. That 4% increase in sales reported by the FDA in 2022 reflects the continued reliance on these medications to prevent and treat diseases in livestock. Strict regulations such as the VFD ensures antibiotics are used responsibly only under veterinary supervision. Research confirms that when it's safely applied and correctly applied, it aids in preventing and controlling pathogens like E. coli.
Next, I wanted to talk about cultural and sociological importance for the use of vaccinations in animals that we use for meat and killing. One, I want to talk about antibiotics and how they help keep animals healthy, which is always important to all cultures since we heavily depend on farming for our main source of food supply. In many cultures, livestock play a crucial role in both nutrition and economic stability. I know personally a lot of people who base all their livelihood off of livestock and producing meat for human consumption. Healthy animals mean a reliable source of meat, dairy, and other products that are important to people's everyday lives and cultural practices. And I don't think a lot of people understand just how important and crucial farmers are, because this isn't a lie when we say that it's important in everyone's daily lives. I don't think people realize how much we actually use animal products and stuff that farmers grow day by day. Second, I want to talk about the use of antibiotics in food animals, which is important for our food supplies, but also important for the animal as well. Humans have progressed significantly in the ability to prevent and treat diseases in animals. It's our duty to protect and help maintain stable food supplies, but as well as keep a lookout for the protection of the health of the animals.
Hello everybody, I am Yadira Esparza, and today I will be going over the current events that relate to our topic, which is the 4 antibiotics in food animals. The first current event that we have is the U.S. Food and Drug Administration Center. The FDA has dropped the latest report that shows the sales of antibiotics in food-producing animals. In the graph, it shows from 2013 to 2022, and it shows that in 2015 it was at its highest use of antibiotics, and then after 2016 it decreased, but then it started slowing, increasing up to the year of 2022. We still don't have the results for 2023 or 2024. Another current event is that antibiotics are still needed, and they are being required for many animals that are going through infection, diseases, and any other type of health-related issues. These animals need antibiotics because of their conditions that they live in. So they have horrible shelter. So this causes many of them to get diseases and bacteria and infections. And then another current event related to the topic is that the Europe Solution, a pork producer in Europe, has cut their use of antibiotics by providing better treatment and shelter for their animals. If living conditions of animals better in the United States, perhaps the use of antibiotics would decrease too. The overall summary. At the end of the day, antibiotics have been proven to be safe to use on livestock, if used correctly and safely, of course. Antibiotics come in hand for when animals are going through health-related problems. They help treat any disease and bacteria that animals are facing. They ensure that our livestock is good to eat and won't spread any infections. Antibiotics are just like any other medicine that helps ensure good health in both humans and animals. So if they are helping animals, I think we should keep using them. So that's where a group opinion comes in. So as a group, we have decided that we should support the use of antibiotics in food animals, because antibiotics play a big part when it comes to health-related issues. So yes, when some animal is going through a health-related issue, I think it's very important that we should cure it instead of letting it die, because then it just kind of goes to waste. And then also ensures the meat that we eat is edible, so like chicken, pork, beef, and maybe up to fish. We need to make sure that it's healthy and safe to eat so we don't catch any type of disease. So these antibiotics also help to cure the diseases that these animals face, and it helps prevent bacteria. And if they're found as safe to use, I think we should just go ahead and use them only in occasions where they're needed, like when the farmers are approved to have these antibiotics, and then they just lead to more healthy animals.
Now on to the works cited page. These are all the different sources that we used to help create this presentation. Thank you.